There was something about the solitude of a cabin in the woods that always intrigued me. The isolation, the serenity, and the sense of being far removed from the expectations of society provided a perfect escape. For someone like me, who had always been balancing two lives, my masculine everyday self and my true, feminine self, there was no better place to be alone, to let the boundaries between those identities blur and merge, even for a brief while. This year, I was determined to embrace my femininity more than ever. I'd booked a week-long stay at a secluded cabin deep in the forest, a place where I could cross-dress freely without worrying about anyone stumbling upon me. My heart raced with the thought of spending several days entirely as the woman I longed to be. No one would judge me, no prying eyes or questions, just me in my favorite outfits, living authentically and unapologetically. I even packed my favorite Maid outfit, complete with lace, frills, and black stockings. I never dared wear it anywhere else but my apartment, and the thought of putting it on in a more expansive, natural environment thrilled me. The drive to the cabin took longer than expected, winding through country roads that twisted and turned, disappearing into thick woods. The deeper I went into the wilderness, the more excited I felt. By the time I reached the cabin, the sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the forest floor. I stepped out of my car and took in the scene. The cabin was cozy, nestled between towering pine trees, with not another soul in sight. A sense of peace washed over me. Inside, the cabin was rustic but comfortable, with wooden beams across the ceiling and a stone fireplace. There was a spacious living area, a small kitchen, and a loft bedroom upstairs. It was perfect. I quickly unpacked my things, hanging my outfits in the small closet, making sure my favorite Maid outfit was right at the front. Tomorrow would be the day. I planned to spend the entire day dressed up, cleaning, cooking, and simply enjoying the cabin as my true self. That night, I slept restlessly, tossing and turning with excitement about what the morning would bring. I woke up early, sunlight streaming through the large window in the living room. The cabin was bathed in a golden glow, and the soft chirping of birds filled the air. Today was the day. My heart fluttered with nervous energy as I showered and shaved, making sure every inch of my body was smooth. I took my time getting ready, wanting everything to be perfect. I carefully applied my makeup, foundation to smooth out my complexion, a little blush for color, mascara to make my eyes pop, and a soft pink lipstick to finish the look. I styled my wig, brushing out the long, brunette curls until they cascaded perfectly over my shoulders. Finally, I slipped into my Maid outfit. The soft, black fabric clung to my body in all the right places, and the white apron tied around my waist accentuated my figure. I pulled on the matching stockings and secured them with garters. Looking at myself in the mirror, I felt a wave of euphoria. I looked beautiful. For a moment, I forgot the outside world existed. Here, in this cabin, I was free. I was me. I spent the morning tidying up the cabin, not that it needed much cleaning. It was just fun to play the part. I dusted the shelves, wiped down the counters, and swept the floors, all while twirling around in my outfit. I made myself a light breakfast and sat by the window, sipping coffee while admiring the view. It felt so liberating to be dressed this way, with no one around to see me. Or so I thought. It was mid-afternoon when I heard the sound. A faint rustling outside, like someone or something moving through the bushes. My heart skipped a beat. I froze, listening intently. The noise stopped for a moment, then resumed, this time closer to the cabin. I stood up slowly, my hands trembling slightly. Could it be an animal? A deer or some other woodland creature? I crept to the window and peered outside. To my horror, I saw someone, a man, walking through the trees toward the cabin. He was dressed in hiking gear, a backpack slung over one shoulder, and he appeared to be searching for something. Panic surged through me. What was he doing here? The cabin was supposed to be secluded, miles away from any other properties. I hadn't expected anyone to come by, let alone someone who might see me like this. I quickly backed away from the window, my mind racing. Should I hide? Should I try to change back into my regular clothes? But there was no time. The man was getting closer, and I didn't want to draw attention to myself by moving around too much. I stood frozen in the middle of the living room, unsure of what to do. There was a knock at the door. Hello. The man's voice was muffled but friendly. Is anyone there? I held my breath, hoping he would think the cabin was empty and leave. But after a few moments, he knocked again, louder this time. Hey, I'm sorry to bother you. I think I'm lost. Can you help me? I couldn't ignore him. My mind raced through possible scenarios, trying to figure out the best way to handle this situation. Should I pretend to be someone else? Should I try to cover up? But there was no time. He had already seen the car parked outside, and I couldn't hide forever. Taking a deep breath, I decided to face him. I opened the door just a crack, enough to peek out and assess the situation. The man standing on the porch looked to be in his early 30s, with short, messy brown hair and a rugged, outdoorsy look. His eyes widened slightly when he saw me, but to my surprise, he didn't seem shocked or disgusted. In fact, he smiled. "Hi, sorry to bother you," he said, looking sheepish. "I was hiking, but I think I got turned around. My phone's dead, and I've been wandering around for hours. Do you think you could help me get back to the main road?" For a moment, I was too stunned to speak. Here I was, standing in front of a stranger in a Maid outfit, my makeup done to perfection, and he was acting as if everything was completely normal. I blinked, trying to process what was happening. Sure, I stammered. "I have a map inside. Just give me a second." I shut the door and leaned against it, my heart racing. He hadn't freaked out. He hadn't even mentioned my appearance. Maybe, just maybe, this situation wasn't as bad as I'd feared. I grabbed the map from the kitchen table and opened the door again, this time stepping outside. The man looked at me curiously but said nothing about my outfit. I unfolded the map and pointed out the direction he needed to go. "If you follow this trail, it should take you back to the main road," I explained, my voice still a little shaky. He nodded, studying the map. "Thanks, I really appreciate it. I was starting to worry I'd be stuck out here all night." "No problem," I replied, trying to keep my composure. Before he left, he glanced at me again, his eyes lingering on my outfit for just a moment. Then he smiled. "Nice outfit, by the way," he said casually. "You, pulling off a cosplay or something?" I blushed furiously. "Something like that," I mumbled. He gave me a thumbs up. "Well, you look great. Have a good one." With that, he turned and headed back into the woods, following the path I'd shown him. I stood there for a long moment, watching him disappear into the trees, my heart pounding in my chest. The rest of the day passed in a haze. I couldn't stop thinking about the hiker and how nonchalant he had been about seeing me dressed as a maid. Part of me was relieved that the encounter hadn't gone badly, but another part of me felt embarrassed. What if he told someone? What if he came back? As evening fell, I tried to push those thoughts out of my mind. I changed into a different outfit, a soft, flowing sundress, and settled in for the night. I made myself a simple dinner and sat by the fireplace, trying to relax. The warmth of the fire and the quiet of the forest helped calm my nerves. Just as I was beginning to unwind, I heard another noise outside. My heart sank. Not again. I peered out the window, and sure enough, the same hiker was walking up to the cabin. This time, though, he wasn't alone. He had brought a friend. Panic surged through me once more. Why had he come back? And with someone else? I quickly changed out of my dress and into my regular clothes, hoping to avoid another awkward encounter. But by the time I opened the door, it was too late. "Hey," the hiker called out, waving as he approached. "Sorry to bother you again. This is my buddy, Jake. We got lost again. Can you believe it?" His friend, Jake, looked at me with curiosity, but didn't seem fazed. I forced a smile, trying to hide my nerves. "No problem," I said. "Do you need help with the map again?" "Actually," the first hiker said, scratching the back of his head, "we were wondering if we could crash here for the night. Our campsite is a few miles away, and we're too tired to hike back in the dark. We'll stay out of your way, I promise." I hesitated. The last thing I wanted was to have company during my private retreat, especially when I was planning to spend the next few days dressed as my true self. But they looked genuinely exhausted, and it was dangerous to hike through the woods at night. Sure," I said finally. "There's a couch in the living room. You guys can sleep there." "Thanks so much," Jake said, flashing me a grateful smile. "You're a lifesaver." The evening passed uneventfully, though I was on edge the entire time. The two hikers made themselves comfortable on the couch while I retreated to the loft bedroom upstairs. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to go wrong. My secret was hanging in the air, and I didn't know how to keep it hidden. As the night wore on, I heard the two men talking quietly downstairs. At first, I couldn't make out what they were saying, but then I heard my name, or at least what I thought was my name. My heart raced. Were they talking about me? Had they figured out that I was crossdressing? Curiosity got the better of me, and I crept to the edge of the loft, listening carefully. "I'm telling you, man," the first hiker said, his voice low. "There's something different about this guy." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. I don't know. It's just a feeling I got earlier. When I came by the first time. I think there's more to him than meets the eye. I held my breath, my pulse pounding in my ears. What were they talking about? Did they know? Or was I just being paranoid? Jake chuckled. Maybe he's got a secret. Who knows? Anyway, let's just be thankful he let us stay here. I don't care if he's got some weird hobby or whatever. People are into all kinds of stuff these days. The conversation moved on to other topics, and I let out a sigh of relief. They hadn't figured it out. Not yet, anyway. But as I lay in bed that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that my time alone in the cabin was no longer going to be as peaceful as I had hoped. The next morning, I woke up early, determined to get back to my private crossdressing retreat before the hikers woke up. I dressed quickly, slipping into my maid outfit once again. I didn't have much time. If I was going to enjoy my feminine self, it had to be now before they saw me. But as I stepped out of the bedroom and into the living room, I froze. The two hikers were already awake, and they were staring at me. For a moment, no one said anything. The silence was deafening. My heart pounded in my chest as I stood there, fully dressed in my maid outfit, makeup perfectly applied, my secret fully exposed. Jake was the first to speak. Wow, he said, his voice full of surprise. You look amazing. I blinked, unsure of how to respond. Was he serious? Was he mocking me? The first hiker, the one I had met the day before, smiled warmly. Yeah, man, you look great. No need to hide it from us. I stared at them, still in shock. You don't care? Jake laughed. Dude, it's 2024. People do all kinds of stuff. If dressing up like that makes you happy, then go for it. You've got nothing to be ashamed of. Tears of relief welled up in my eyes. I had spent so long hiding this part of myself, so long worrying about what others would think, and here were two complete strangers who didn't care at all. They accepted me for who I was. Thanks, I whispered, my voice choked with emotion. That means a lot. The first hiker grinned. No problem. Now let's get some breakfast, huh? You can cook, right? I mean, you're already in the perfect outfit for it. I laughed, feeling the weight of years of secrecy lift off my shoulders. Maybe this vacation wasn't going to be as solitary as I had planned, but for the first time in my life, I felt truly free. And as I stood there in my maid outfit, cooking breakfast for two unlikely friends, I realized that sometimes being caught wasn't the worst thing that could happen. Sometimes it was exactly what you needed to be found. Thank you so much for watching till now. It means the world to have you here. This community is all about empowering each other and celebrating the incredible journeys of everyone on their path to living authentically. If you're ever feeling lost or alone, remember you have a whole family here for you. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and let's keep inspiring each other, sending you all the love and strength in the world. Until next time, live your life by your rules.